Tonight is the opening event for the Jazz Heritage Center, which is one of the community amenities in the Heritage Fillmore, which is a $75 million development on Fillmore Street in Eddy in San Francisco. It's the first major project in the Western Addition done by a black developer. And so we're very excited to have a young man who is premier entrepreneur, Ephren W, who has, at the age of 24, become CEO of a publicly traded company. And at 12, he started his first company. And by the time he was 16, he made his first million. And one of the projects he's been involved in has been the redevelopment of Vine Street in Kansas City. So we think there's a lot of affinity between him coming here to be part of the first event for the Jazz Heritage Center in the Fillmore Heritage Center.
I definitely like to, first of all, thank everybody for inviting me here. Thank you definitely for hosting this event this evening. I'd like to thank all of you for coming out and definitely supporting it. This is one of the first times that I think I've ever been called an attraction, which is definitely an honor to have. It's definitely one of those lifelong dreams, definitely on the task of life things to do that is now being marked off being an attraction or a draw. Because so many times, I come out to events and I listen to various individuals who ended up becoming my mentors, and it was just wow, so much knowledge being imparted in me. But I think to answer your question as far as defining success, and I believe when I was younger, I started my first company when I was 12, developing video games. Later on in 8th grade, had my own software development company, had an internet company that got funded while I was in high school. Raised $750,000, and up until that point, I think I had the misconception that everybody, usually has about, what success is. I thought it was kind of like the movie Scarface. First I'm gonna get the money, then I'm gonna get the power, then I'm gonna get the respect, and just maybe a girl will give me her phone number. But up until that point, it was really just a very selfish mindset and misconception of what success was. Money, power, and respect. But as I got older, and started really doing things in the community, really started investing in other individuals, and really going out and making an impact in others' lives, then I realized the money is really, about success. It's not about the money, it's about really building wealth, not only for yourself, but also for others. And then that wealth is so much more powerful than just having money. Money can be here today and gone tomorrow, but wealth lasts for generations and generations. And hopefully my children and their children's children. And it wasn't about, just having a power. Power, corrupts, especially absolute power. But when you have influence over others, or you're being able to influence things, especially in a positive way, influence the communities that we serve at City Capital Corporation, that became very important and key component of being successful. And then you also had, as far as, I was thinking, respect. People are going to respect me. And I think a lot of our young people have this misconception of what respect is. You're going to respect me, or better yet, fear me because I have a gun, or because I'm the hardest guy on this particular street corner. But that really wasn't, respect. But one of the things that you definitely want to have, is honor. Honor within your name, honor within your family, but also honor within your community. So, those things about, building wealth within others, having influence, but also having honor, I think are one of the key components, to being successful.
Okay. Could you tell us about your publicly traded company, City Capital Corporation?
Cool. City Capital Corporation, for those of you that track and follow us, we're a unique company that's out there. We believe in creating and developing for the last couple of years a concept about making strategic investments within communities to help them become self-sufficient. And we're very big on economic empowerment, economic collaboration, helping communities become self-sufficient, by redeveloping housing and then creating opportunities and employment opportunities for those in urban served communities, and then taking the proceeds and using some of those proceeds to fund charitable activities, social responsibility type activities. So we consider ourselves a socially conscious, company. So I encourage you to check us out. Been featured all over the media, but our real specialty is working with individuals on housing development, urban development, working in Detroit. One of the few developers that probably have a waiting list in the city of Detroit for the type of housing that we specialize in. But it's a privilege and it's an opportunity to work with the firm and the company, and we look forward to many great things, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in biofuels, asset management. But at the end of the day, our main purpose and our main goal is to create economic opportunities for the communities that many would consider underserved, whether it's employment, finance, economics, jobs, or however, so they can better be able to serve themselves versus being dependent on somebody else.
Okay. Now we're getting ready to have an economic downturn. How do these underserved communities really take advantage of the unmet needs, take advantage of some of the opportunities? And what can we do to not be affected by such things as the subprime mortgages and that sort of thing?
Economic downturn is something that we debate, every week, especially on Fox News commentary every Friday every day. And we're always debating, are we in a recession? Has the bottom fell out yet? Are we back on the rise? I'm usually one of the ones that's more optimistic. But it's just been a very weird year economically. I mean, no formulas are really matching up. The charts aren't matching up like they should. You got inflation going out, the rates being dropped down, and you have the whole subprime, the backward's going there. But I see a tremendous opportunity, especially for those underserved communities, because right now I consider as an investor, money's on sale, so it's an excellent opportunity for communities to band together to start reclaiming a lot of that property, shoring up their particular communities, but also looking towards the future of how they're going to develop those, economically. But also this is even more time that, we really need to realize is that, all right, maybe since some things are out of balance, maybe we need to start taking control back over where we need to be. If you're watching the price of grain that's gone up, almost over 50% in the last couple of months, which has affected the price of eggs, beef, etc. Where are we when we're talking about, farming, using effective agricultural, even going down to that level, and then even looking at, $3 a gallon gas that's out there, trying to address that with biofuels and energy. You have all these historically black colleges and A&Ms, agricultural, mechanical, and I think there's a tremendous opportunity there to leverage all this knowledge base, but for the benefit of those communities underserved. Not only would it help them reduce the cost of living and just getting by in today's society, but it also would be a very economically empowering task to kind of tackle a challenge. But today, with economic downturn, that is when real wealth is created. If you look at every great, probably billionaire that's been out there, investor, they make a tremendous amount of money when everything's going down. So really not following the mob mentality, just kind of running with the herd or the flock, but really just shoring up and really going in. This is a great time to buy.
Okay. For young people, we hear talk about the achievement gap among African American young people. What are the 2 or 3 key ideas that you would encourage young African Americans to really focus on so that they can be prepared to compete in the global economy?
That's a very subjective, difficult question to kind of tackle. It's like, how do you prepare yourself to really compete in the future? Because, if you go back 20 years ago, my parents' generation, all you really had to worry about was the guy down the street, the guy down the block, or the neighborhood. But my generation, we had to compete with the entire world. People who were willing to have 4 or 5 degrees from a U.S. school and willing to work for a third of what we need just to survive here in the United States. So that's a whole other dynamic that is there. And I think really for young people today to really prepare themselves to compete in the global economy is really to get global exposure, to know what his life is like outside of their local neighborhood or city, but also having experiences to travel internationally. I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunities out there to volunteer, to serve, doing community development. So not only do you get an appreciation for a lot of the benefits, luxuries and liberties that we have here in the United States, but also you get an appreciation for the struggles and sufferings that happens overseas as well. But you get a little bit of understanding of how business is done, from an international perspective. I'm very big on internships, regardless of where somebody is in life. I don't care if they're in elementary school, middle school, or high school. Definitely as young people today, you gotta have as many internships as possible and being able to take what you got in the classroom and apply it to the real world at the same time. And then the third thing they probably could do is just get all the knowledge they can get, throw it in a can to can, and sit on the can, and then use it as much as possible that's out there. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge. There's so many opportunities out here in the global culture and society, but you will find it more and more often that they're really going to have to start taking ownership of their own lives and their own potential because the dynamics here is so fluid in the different markets that unless you start controlling it or owning it, you'll just be kind of spinning your wheel and you won't really get ahead of where you need to be.